Well, we're at the nets here at Headingley, ahead of match 27, which is England against Sri Lanka. It's the first game of this World Cup here at this great historic ground, which is of course the home of Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root. For England, they're in very good form, and victory here against Sri Lanka would cement their position in the top four. And after a couple of washouts, Sri Lanka have really got to get their tournament up and running. Well, I've got one of Owen Morgan's bats here. He's got 5 or 6 in his bag. This is not the bat that he hit the 17 sixes with at Old Trafford against Afghanistan, but it's exactly the same in terms of the shape and size. It's not that heavy actually. It's about £2.9 in weight, about an inch thickness, picks up beautifully. It's really down to the strength of the modern player really, not so much to do with the bats, which are brilliant of course, but just the strength of the player and also the feeling now that anything is possible. So we've just seen England complete 1 or 2 of their fielding drills. They've not actually been pitch perfect under the high balls in this tournament. 1 or 2 catches have been put down. I can recall Jason Roy dropping one in the Pakistan game. Quite an unusual drill. Carl Hopkinson, who's the fielding coach, uses a tennis racket to whack the ball as high as he can in the air, and then he runs behind the catcher with a kind of noodle, the kind of noodle you'd use in a swimming pool, and he waves it around in front of the fielder's eyes or above his head to try and put them off, and the aim of course is that the fielder tries to keep his eyes absolutely trained on the ball and the distractions don't affect him. It's quite an unusual drill. I wouldn't say it's working that well so far. So Joss Butler's been having a long bat in the nets this morning, facing the seamers in this near net and then the spinners in the middle net. And like a lot of England's players, he just has a slightly different setup to facing seam and spin. Against the seamers, he's very upright and his initial trigger movement is slightly back. And then to the spinners, he gets in a much more dynamic crouch position and has that forward press. He's looking to get at the ball. It's been a very difficult tournament so far for Sri Lanka. The bad weather has followed them around. They've had 2 washouts. Also, 1 or 2 of their key players, in that middle order especially, have been struggling to find their best form. Players like Angelo Matthews, hugely experienced, very fine player, but 3 single-figure scores so far. Also 1 or 2 rumblings. It sounds like Sri Lanka haven't been that happy about the pitches they've been playing or the hotels they've been staying in or the facilities. Didn't send somebody to post-match press conference the other day. So all in all, just a general impression that there's a little bit of discontent there. But there were some signs against Australia, just some stirrings at the top of the order. That partnership between Karuna Ratner and Kusal Pereira that put on about 115 in the first 15 overs. Signs there of maybe a return to form, and that's what they need more of against England. Yeah, it's a huge game for both teams, but especially so I think for Sri Lanka, who've really got to try and find some form and get their tournament up and running. They've got a good surface to do that on. It feels warm, it feels dry. There should be plenty of runs in it.